Hello everybody, welcome to Wake Up and Smell the Tauntaun, the best Star Wars show in Staten Island. I'm your host, John Maffio, and on today's episode we're going to talk primarily about the fourth episode of The Mandalorian, Sanctuary, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, daughter of Ron Howard, director of Solo, A Star Wars Story. We're not going to talk about that, because I don't like that movie. I don't know why I threw that jab in there, but I watched it in May, I forgot about it. The weekend I saw it, and I guess I ought to watch it again just to give a better opinion on it, having rewatched it, but at this point I'd rather not. So I'm not going to keep going on this diatribe. Let's go into what's really important on this episode, besides Mandalorian, is that we are in December and that we are in Rise of Skywalker month. So this movie comes out in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, which is crazy. I'm excited for the movie. A few of my friends are, a few of my friends aren't. We're getting to the point now where we're ramming up with the TV spots, and we're seeing more footage, more new footage. I'm staying away from it. There's one thing that came out involving an original trilogy character that I'm not going to mention because I don't like doing that. I saw it, and I think it's great. I think it's going to be really cool. We don't know the context of it, but if you know what I'm talking about, I'm curious to see how they implement this character into the movie. But yeah, the marketing's been ramping up. I've been seeing commercials all over the place. They keep releasing new TV spots. I'm starting to ignore the TV spots, though, because I don't want to see any more. I'm good. I was good before the first trailer came out, but I wanted to watch. I stayed away from most of the marketing for The Last Jedi. This one I decided to go all in just because it's the last one. I want to see the first two trailers, but the TV spots I'm gonna ignore. Let me know what you guys think down below of that. Are you avoiding all the footage, or are you taking in everything? I know the marketing keeps saying it's the final Skywalker movie. It's the final movie in the Star Wars saga of Skywalker, the Skywalker saga. I'm cynical, so my state of mind is in 10-15 years, Disney's gonna find a way to reboot this with the same Skywalker characters, or maybe with depending on what happens with Kylo Ren, maybe Ben, if he gets redeemed, they bring him back, and he's technically a Skywalker. But I am still enjoying the ridiculousness of this is the final Star Wars movie involving the Skywalkers. Even though in the back of my head, I kind of have the suspicious feeling, because it's Hollywood, they will just continue this particular story again in 10-15 years with episode 10. But for now, it is pretty just fun to get into the finality, the conclusiveness of it all. But let's jump into The Mandalorian Episode 4, Sanctuary. It's directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who has been in some pretty good things, and I think she's a really talented actress. Evidently, this is her directorial debut. I think she does a pretty good job. I don't think she got the greatest episode, though, to direct, and it doesn't fall on her, but I'll get into that in a little bit. I think this is the weakest episode of the 4 so far. I do think it's really awesome, though, that we've had 2 female directors back-to-back in the show, between Deborah Chow and now Bryce. I think it's just, again, flourishing in the Star Wars universe with great talented people in Hollywood. But there are parts of this episode that I really like. I like seeing more of the vulnerability and the humanity come out of the Mandalorian. The whole plot of this episode, since we're talking spoilers in these episodes now, just goes without saying. I'm sure if you've been watching these, you know that. So Baby Yoda and Mando are still on the run from bounty hunters because they had the bounty on either it's Baby Yoda or both of them at this point after what happened on that planet with Carl Weathers' character. So they stop at a village and we meet Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, a new character. She's a retired shock trooper from the rebellion, and she got I noticed it 20 minutes into the episode that she had a little rebel teardrop tattoo underneath her eye. I think that's actually a really fun detail. But I really like Gina Carano as Cara Dune so far. I like her conceptually as a character, but I think it's too early to really say I like this character so much. She's really cool. She's great, because we don't really know much about her. I want more information, more backstory to sink my teeth into before I really get into a developed opinion of her. But I mean, her fight with the Mandalorian in the beginning was really fun. Then we get into the whole village thing, and this is where a lot of my problems come up with this episode. I feel like it does grind the story to a halt for the most part. I didn't really care for this whole Magnificent Seven repeated storyline with predictable story elements. Yeah, these weird Lord of the Rings orc-like creatures invading this village, and they have to learn to defend themselves. And the Mandalorian and Cara Dune teach them how to defend themselves against these orc-like creatures. They really look like, they kind of reminded me of the orcs from Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and just the original trilogy of those movies. And you have the one thing I think that was really fun though, and really like well done, was the ATST. In the complete darkness, where you just see these hollow red visors that, like, I guess you could say they're like the ATST's eyes, and at one wide shot of it coming out of the trees, right before these orcs, I'm gonna call them orcs, invade the village and the fight breaks out. I think that was visually incredibly well done. We get more Baby Yoda cuteness, and the memes continue. The whole sequence in the beginning with Baby Yoda flicking on the switch in the ship, and Mando's like, no, and then he does it again, no, and he puts him back in his little pod, in his little crib. But yeah, you get all the villagers being super like infatuated with Baby Yoda, and can you blame them? Have you seen how cute he is, sipping his little drink like? But yeah, like I mentioned before, I enjoyed seeing the Mando open up more to this widowed character in the village. I don't know her name. I do like how she was this conduit to the Mando opening up, and her mentioning, wouldn't it be nice to live on this village and live a happy life with the baby and just kind of, settle down. And he has like this moment. I didn't forget this part, because I think it's actually the best like dialogue exchange, where he just kind of goes, it would be nice, and it sounds like he's about to cry, like he really so badly desires this kind of life at this point, after all the unknown things he's been through. But he kind of can't, as we learned at the end of the episode. It seems pretty obvious, but it was done well enough to a point where they kind of can't settle down. They have to keep moving, and this poor Baby Yoda character can't live a normal life because it's too valuable to a lot of bad people, and they're going to keep chasing this thing. But like a lot of these like little character beats, story beats happen really fast, because it's a 40-minute episode. This whole romantic subplot between Mando and this widow, didn't buy into it. It just kind of like was like love at first sight, where like it just seems like this woman instantly wanted to bone the Mandalorian. I mean, I don't blame her either. Look at him with his armor and his helmet. Like, he's got a big helmet. I see how that sensual, or I guess sexual infatuation can spring up and transpire, but in telling a story on a weekly episodic basis, it didn't work for me here. But I do like the idea of this widowed character, and I would like to see more of her and learn more about her, how she knows how to shoot really well. Like, she obviously has a history somewhere, whether or not she's lived in this village her whole life, or she just trained herself, whatever it may be. I just didn't care for the Mando and this woman kind of like falling in, not in love, but in like this caring respect for each other. I just don't buy into it. I know I understand it's like a reminder for the Mando that he can't live this life, at least not yet, probably not ever. But it didn't work for me. I don't doubt that we're going to see characters like Cara Dune or this widow again. But we are continuing that theme of seeing this protagonist just kind of go from place to place, meeting new characters in new worlds, and just kind of moving on. Because we've definitely established here, especially in this episode at the end, that that Mandalorian and Baby Yoda can't stay in the same place for more than like a week or two, ever. Even if it's the most tranquil, calm, beautiful place in the whole galaxy, for a split second, when that bounty hunter came out towards the end and put his crossfires on Baby Yoda, I thought maybe that they were going to kill Baby Yoda. And I'm like, they're not going to. But in the back of my head, I'm like, they were lingering on the shot for long enough where I'm like, maybe? Are they really going to do it? But for a split second, I'm like, they might actually do this. They might actually kill this cultural phenomenon, because people all over the place know about Baby Yoda now. People who don't even watch the show, people who don't even care about Star Wars, know what Baby Yoda is. But yeah, to reiterate my opinion on this 4th episode of The Mandalorian, I think, again, it's the weakest episode of the 4 so far. It's not bad, but it has the most flaws, and I think it has the weakest story points. It's very predictable, especially if you've seen your fair share of Westerns and Magnificent Seven, and, I mean, it's not just exclusive to Western movies, but this this particular story that this episode focuses on has been done before. Not to death, but enough where it's familiar enough where if you recognize it, it could deter from your experience of the episode. I enjoyed the little character moments, the quieter moments with the Mandalorian. The whole thing with the helmet reveal, where you find out that he takes off his helmet all the time, but he hasn't taken off his helmet in front of somebody since he was a kid. That's interesting stuff to me. I want more of that kind of stuff. And just him opening up with people. And I guess this Widow character is going to be his window to revealing more information about his life. So I'm sure we're going to see her again in the future, because she seems like the only trustworthy character to the Mandalorian besides maybe Cara Dune at the moment, and the Ugnaught on the other planet. But it seemed like he really took a liking to her. So I'm sure we're going to get more from her in the future, if not this season, next season. And yeah, the ending fight it wasn't boring, but it wasn't engaging either to me. The whole thing with the ATST, visually incredibly striking, but just I didn't really feel it that much. It's not a bad episode, just nothing that blew me out of the water either. It's just the weakest of the four so far. But I'm still looking forward to seeing where do we go from here? Do we go to another planet? Do we meet new characters, new bounty hunters? Is this where Bill Burr and that Twi'lek come into play? The actress who plays Tonks in Harry Potter. What happens from here? Is it more just a chase, or are we gonna settle down again? We'll have to see. We'll find out very soon. Where will the Mando and Baby Yoda turn up next? Find out next time on the same star time, same star channel. And with that ends today's episode of Wake Up and Smell the Tauntaun. I also have to mention, as I'm talking right now, that I did finish Jedi Fallen Order on the PS4, and I have a lot to say about it, so I'll make a separate video about that in the future. But just know that I really liked it. It told a really beautiful story. It's very engaging, it's challenging, it's difficult. I played on the second highest difficulty for most of the game, and then the ending boss battle, I died like 200 times, and I had to bump it down to finish. But I highly recommend it for Star Wars fans, and I'll do a more expansive video, spoiler video about it very soon. But yes, what did you think of the 4th episode of Mandalorian? Let me know in the comments down below. Did you like it more than I did? Less than I did? Do you agree, disagree? Do you like Cara Dune, the Widow character? What do you think of Baby Yoda and all the memes popping out? They just keep finding ways to meme Baby Yoda, and it just keeps getting better and better. It's a gold mine. It's just incredible. Also, thank you very much for tuning in and watching. If you are still watching, if you watched it all, I really appreciate the viewership and the support. Any support, anything. I just love you guys. I love all you guys. But if you would like to, you could like the video. You could ring the bell. You could comment. And then if you haven't already, and this is the first time you're seeing MaffmanJones / Wake Up and Smell a Tauntaun video, you can subscribe so you'll see more of these videos on a weekly basis. That would be pretty cool. But if you don't want to, also, I understand. Once again, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode, and may the Force be with you. Always.